What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another market update, this time for vintage Star Wars toys. We have a great assortment of items. It was hard for me to narrow it down, and I tried to include, based on viewer feedback, items at the very, very low end of the range, ungraded, loose figures that are complete but in nice shape, all the way up to the ultra rare, super rare items. And we have some stuff that was offered by Collectibles Investment Brokerage this past weekend that were the first time I've ever seen them up for sale in an auction on eBay. So stick around for those items. Let's go ahead and dig right in. But before I do, I've got to say thank you to Rocket City Sith. He is my latest Patreon supporter. I had the pleasure to meet him at the toy convention a couple of weeks ago. It was a real pleasure getting to know you. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. I really appreciate my entire Patreon team. You guys allow me to make this kind of stuff happen. More and better videos. I try to give you a video each day. It's really tough to fit it in, but I try my best. And if you want to become a Patreon supporter, it's patreon.com/actionfiguregrader. Every dollar goes towards helping the channel out, paying for expenses, editing software, and my insane monthly internet bill. It's $300 a month, and that doesn't include TV or anything. It's just for paying for the big broadband here in town. They really destroy me on that bill, but that's what it costs to upload and download these videos. I don't know if I've tried to get it lowered. I've tried, but they said no, you use too much data. So I had to go to an unlimited plan, and they really raked me over the coals. But let's go ahead and dig right in. This is a UKG graded 70 Luke Skywalker double telescoping saber. So you can see there the inner filament is all the way pushed in around the outer shaft. That's what she said, but it's graded 70. And the reason for the 70 is because the torso has discolored, and that happens with a lot of these white figures, as we've talked about at length on the channel. But nevertheless, it's still a rare figure, and it's a complete saber. Really cool to see another one sell at auction at a fire sale price, so to speak. This one sold for 680 pounds or 836 US dollars plus shipping. But quite honestly, that's a pretty good deal. I mean, we've documented several that are much higher grade than this that have sold anywhere from $3,000 to as high as $4,000. So to get one that's admittedly a lower grade, and it does have quite a bit of torso discoloration for 836, to me, I mean, that's kind of the market rate right now for this figure. It's just one of those figures that is very desirable, and this is much more budget friendly than, you know, some of those super high grade examples. And don't get me wrong, this is an expensive item. Anyone who's spending $836 on a doll is not worried about making ends meet, okay? So I know that this is expensive for many of you, but you know, this is one of those figures that it's one of the very desirable bucket list type of figures if you are a serious vintage collector. And it's nice to see one sell below $1,000. That's the first time I've seen a graded one sell for below $1,000 in a while. So congrats to the buyer on that one. Here was one I was watching pretty closely. This is an SWB baggie for Han Solo. This has got the Hong Kong black label there. A number of different first 12 as well as 21 figures. First 21 figures were in this baggie. It's a very distinctive black print on the baggie. It's graded UKG 85%, and there's the back of it there. Pretty nice example of the SWB baggie. That one sold for 406 US dollars or 330 British pounds. So that's what it's going to cost. I mean, you know, I've seen some better deals out there, but they're few and far between. And for these early baggies, the SWB baggie, the only thing earlier is the SW, I guess, A. And those would be like early bird baggies, if memory serves. I am not a baggie expert. I don't pretend to be one. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn last night. But that's a pretty good price, in my opinion, for a high-grade Han Solo baggie. Another one that was on my watch list, I was curious to see how long it would take before it sell. But this is an R2-D2 solid dome. This is the Taiwan variant, though. Taiwan. And I think that those are pretty desirable. It had a little bit of yellowing and kind of discoloration to the sticker, so it got the AFA 80. But the dome looked nice. It had that nice dark blue to the dome there, and it sold for $235 on free shipping. I was very tempted by that one. I was very tempted. It's a nice figure, and most of the Taiwans tend to command pretty big money. The higher grade you go, and $235 for an AFA 80 is probably about right, in my opinion. Here's another one that was an AFA 80 R5D4. This was the 1978 date stamp. There's obviously a 1977 date stamp. This is the Hong Kong variant. There's also a no COO, which I just showed you on the channel. Again, AFA 80, it sold for $211.50 on free shipping. That's about what I paid about 6 months ago for an AFA 85. So that shows you how much it's accelerated. So it's a slightly lower grade, but it looked really clean. Sticker just had just a little bit of yellowing to it, but that's not a bad price really for an AFA 80 R5 D4. All right, now we're going to mix it up a little bit. I've got some loose figures that are not graded, but I wanted to document a few of them that I was watching and was tempted by. And this one of them that I have on my want list to get a loose graded example is the Cloud Car palette. I still don't have a loose graded example, and graded already, they can command big money. There was one that was AFA 85 or 85 plus that CIB sold for big money earlier this year. I think it was almost $900, which is crazy to me. But this one looked pretty good. It was pretty clean. Now, I want to point out the yellow boots, okay? So it had a little bit of, like, you know, dirt or some discoloration on the boots there. This is probably, at best, an AFA 85 is my, or excuse me, AFA 80 at best. You can see that the arms are a little bit discolored relative to the torso. So my guess is this would probably score an 80 with you know, one of the grading companies. The other thing you got to look out for on the Cloud Car Pilot is the belt and like all the stuff hanging off the belt that's painted in gray. That can be discolored a lot. The other thing you got to be really cautious about is that there are a lot of reproduction accessories for the Cloud Car Pilot. That communicator alone is very, very expensive. The Lily Letty communicator could be like $1,000 or more. So, you know, these are just really highly copied accessories. So you want to make sure you're buying legitimate accessories. Compare them to the guides that are available on Imperial Gunnery. They have nice high-res photos that show you all the different EPM marks and all the things to look for to make sure it's not repro. But this example sold for $80. And then this one was also listed around the same time. Now, this one looked a little cleaner. It maybe had a little bit of discoloration on the boots, but it looked like the yellow on the boots was just a little more vibrant. And, you know, again, it could be lighting for the photos, things like that. But this was a nice example. I think this would grade a half a point higher, probably an AFA 80 plus would be my guess. This is just one of those figures. Again, it's white, and it has a lot of different paint apps in weird spots that it's really tough to get an AFA 85 in the Cloud Car Pilot. You're probably looking at a minimum of $300 to $400 for an 85 grade. But you know, you can look at the coloring there versus there, and again, it could be the, you know, the lighting for the photos, but this one looked a little better to me. That one sold for $82.72 plus $4.49 versus $80 free shipping. So $80 to about $86, $87 is a good general price point for a near mint minus Cloud Car Pilot that's complete. And again, I'm assuming that these accessories are complete. They look legit. These sellers are sellers that I've recognized on eBay before, so I'm pretty confident that those are legitimate accessories. That other seller also had a Taiwan Bausch. This is another variant that continues to command pretty good money. Graded, this example can go for $200 plus, depending on the grade. It's just a figure that's very desirable. Now, this one would not be an 85 grade, although the paint on it was very, very good, and I'll show you some more photos in a second. The reasoning being is that the torso piece, as you can see below the kind of dark brown portion, her torso around the crotch there is kind of slightly yellowed. And for whatever reason, the Taiwan variant for Bausch always seems to have that discoloration on the torso. But it's something to keep in mind. But if you look at the paint and the hair, the hair on Bausch is one that you really got to be careful for. But look how clean the paint is on that. Just a really nice example. It's a shame about that discoloration, but that's still sold for $61 free shipping. You know, again, that's probably an 80 grade at best, maybe an 80 plus if the grader's being generous, but I think that discoloration will automatically ding you to a 75 plus or an 80. But that's a really nice example and a pretty fair price. This is another one. I hope that fellow YouTuber Brett on Fett was able to fetch this one because I think this price was pretty good. This is the flat paint version of 21B, another droid that is really jumping up in price lately. Nice clear plastic to the chest piece there. That often can yellow, but the paint on this one was really nice. The emblem piece on the chest also tends to get scratches. The arms are in great shape here. It was complete with the accessories. That one sold for $42. $42. I think that's a pretty good price in the current market environment for a flat paint version. The semi-metallic to me seems to be the most common. There's also a Spanish POC. There is a no COO, And this is the flat paint version, and it's just not quite as bright and vibrant as the one I've got, but I would take that one all day long for 42 bucks. I think that's a pretty good price there. Here's another one that I didn't look up the best offer accepted, so I apologize, but this was an AFA 85 Darth Vader collector's case. Wow, what an incredible item there. And you can see that that insert piece, the paper piece, was in great shape, and this is the non-baggy version. There is also one that comes with I believe, don't quote me, Darth Vader, Bosk, and IG-88 can come in this collector case in a different variant. This is just the non-baggy version where it's just the case by itself, but still an AFA 85. There's the label on it, Vader collector's case. It was listed for $14.50, best offer accepted. Again, I don't know the sales price, but that's a very, very expensive and not an item that you see. You see the C-3PO case, you know, the gold C-3PO case. You see that one come up graded every so often or in really good shape, but it's very tough to find this Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader's case. All right, we're going to dig in now to collectible investment brokerage. Wow, the items that they had at auction this weekend were absolutely insane, and the prices matched it. This is one of the less expensive items, but it's still a beautiful AFA 70 yellowed blister die cast slave one mint on card. There is the label on it. 70, 75, 80 were the sub scores. Just an awesome item, unpunched, but you know, I had a major crease, as you can see, that goes all the way around the length of the card. That 70 grade, in my opinion, was pretty generous. It's probably more like a 60 in my opinion with that heavy crease, but nevertheless, it still sold for $670. Now, as a comparison, we saw one that was probably in slightly better condition, but punched, that was ungraded, that sold on Hakes for about $400 and change. So $670 already graded, probably about the same grade, give or take. But again, it was punched versus unpunched, so pick your poison there. But you know, that's about the going rate, I think, for that. Now we're going to dig into some Droids Lightsabers. Look how incredible this is. This is a mint and sealed box, green lightsaber with the Droids logo, unpunched. What an incredible item there. There's the label on it, Droids TV series lightsaber in green, AFA 80, $1,150 plus $30 shipping. Great box art there, just harkens back to some classic 80s box art. And then here is the Darth Vader Star Destroyer, AFA 85. AFA 85 mint and sealed box. When's the last time you've ever seen one of these come up for sale in an auction, no less? Look at the awesome box art there. It's got the bounty hunters, close-up of the bounty hunters there. Wow, what an awesome item. AFA 85, Darth Vader Star Destroyer. Just insane. $4,025 was the final sales price, plus $75 shipping, so let's call that $4,100. Jeez, what an incredible item, though. I always love the Death Squad commander hanging upside down there in that photo. What a cool item, though. Here, the same seller, you know, CIB, they had the Imperial troop transport. This was on the Star Wars box. Again, mint and sealed box. Only an AFA 60, but it still sold for $1,276 and change, plus $30 shipping. But that's the Imperial troop transport on the Star Wars box. And here was the other lightsaber. I got them out of order here, but this is the red lightsaber, and it sold for quite a bit more. The green lightsaber, again, sold for a little over $1,100. This one, you can double it. It sold for $2,247 plus $30 shipping. So clearly the red lightsaber must have been a lot more rare. I don't know anything about these, but again, it's just items that don't come up often. They also had a number of these dewbacks that were for sale. This is the original Star Wars 1978 version, mint in sealed box, AFA 80. A true survivor. That sold for $1,650. Wow, what an incredible item. This one is the one I really like, though. You never see the Empire Strikes Back version of the Patrol dewback come up for sale. It's just one of those things. It must have been produced in very low numbers, but it was AFA 80, $1,825. So again, even though this is the original issue dewback, the Empire Strikes Back version sold for more, just because it's probably produced in lower numbers, a lot lower population report. And then, of course, you had the collector's series that came out around the Return of the Jedi. I've got one of these, mint and sealed box. Not nearly this high, though. This was an AFA 90, and it sold for $1,525. AFA 90. Now, as a reference point, let's say this was an AFA 80, you could probably cut that price in half. It's probably more like 800 to $1,000 at max, and probably lower, but 1,525, and the reason for that premium there is because that's an AFA 90. That's just, I can't imagine there's a lot of those either on the census, but really cool to see 3 different dewbacks all being sold at auction on the same day. Unbelievable. If that wasn't crazy enough, here was a mint and seal box Droids A-Wing. I mean, you want to talk about stuff that you really only see at Hake's auction. I don't think I've seen a mint and seal box graded example of this A-Wing come up in a long time, much less at auction. And it was an AFA 80. It sold for $2,825 plus $40 shipping. Again, I think that's a pretty good deal. I've seen some sell in the Facebook groups for more than that were about that high grade. So $2,825 is a pretty fair price in my mind. Even to make it even crazier, we had a Millennium Falcon, $4,305 for an AFA 75 plus mint and sealed box Falcon with the Return of the Jedi logo on there. Wow. I mean, somebody must have really gone nuts. If I had deep pockets and unlimited space, I would have spent a lot of money this past weekend. Now, this seller is one I've talked about in the past. They had the Cloud Car Pilot on this same 48 back transition card, free Neonum offer, clear blister that I missed out. Tony, I'm still mad at you for getting that one. But this is the Atat Driver. It did have a slightly yellowed blister, but it still commanded a pretty good price, $365, unpunched with the price sticker. But a really nice example of that transition card. Here was a Dengar, just light wear to it, but it did have a pretty heavily yellowed blister on it. But unpunched, really nice example. That sold for $256. And then finally, that same seller had a clear blister, Return of the Jedi, Han Solo in his Hoth gear. That was the 77 back A. And that one sold for $395. $395. I think that's a pretty good price, really, for a clear blister Han Solo. The Return of the Jedi 77 backs are just tough to find with a clear blister. But it seems like, maybe it's just me, but it seems like the Han Solo doesn't discolor nearly as much as some of the other figures. And that's a pretty good price. I know that Chris W. just sold one that was even higher grade than this for about $500. I don't remember the exact price, but that was a really nice example, though, for the Han Solo Hoth with a beautiful clear blister. Look how pretty that is. $395 took that home. I think that was a really good price there. Another one that had a beautiful clear blister, this was the Squid Head. This was on the 65 back A. You can see the Ewoks there are blacked out. 65 back A. It was punched, but a really clean example. Slight wave to the card there, but look how clear that blister is. Price sticker, Lionel price sticker. Who remembers Lionel? That's an old school company. $262 plus $10 shipping. I think that was a great deal. I was awfully tempted by that one too. Yet another Hollow Cheeks mint on card Tuscan Raider came up. We've gone probably a year without seeing one pop up, and then in the space of 2 weeks, 2 different mint on card Hollow Cheeks Tuscan Raiders came up. They were both yellow blister. This one was in a little bit better condition. It had the KB Toys price sticker on there. It was a 65 back that sold for $1,051 plus $11.75 shipping. Wow. Pretty incredible to see that. And I think that was a pretty good deal, though, relative to where they sell loose graded. I mean, loose graded, you can easily spend $400 to $800 depending on the grade. Finally, another really good deal. This was a CAS 85 last 17 Luke Stormtrooper, and there's the grade on it, 85 grade. It sold for $402. I see them sell for more than that very regularly, ungraded. And my gut says that blaster must have been incorrect. I don't know, but it's the blaster looks black, but it's just really hard to tell. I am not an expert on these last 17 accessories just because they've gotten so pricey, and I haven't really started a heavy run on those at all. But $402 makes me suspect that it had the incorrect blaster. I mean, unless I'm missing something, it's just a really low price for a CAS 85 Luke Stormtrooper. Anyway, just some more data for those of you out there looking. I thought there's some really incredible items that sold, CIB especially, just unbelievable jaw-dropping prices, but the items matched those prices. Just beautiful mint and sealed box vehicles and creatures, things like that. I hope that you enjoyed looking. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. To all my existing subscribers, as well as my entire Patreon team, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.